We'll go ahead and call the regular session of the Yuma County Board of Supervisors, also sitting as all special taxing districts, March 18, 2024, 9 a.m. To order. Board members will attend either in person, by telephone, or remotely via electronic conferencing. We're all here. Can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Your line. Please lead us.
Please join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Move on to the call to the public. Call to the public is held for public benefit to allow individuals to address issues within the board's jurisdiction. Board members may not discuss items that are not specifically identified on the agenda. Therefore, pursuant to Arizona Revised Statute 38-431.01H, action taken as a result of public comment will be limited to directing staff to study the matter, responding to criticism, or scheduling the matter for further discussion and decision at a future date. Public comments may be made in person or submitted by email at publiccomments@yumacountyaz.gov. The email forms of public comments will be accepted until 8 a.m. the morning of the meeting. All public comments will be read out loud during the Yuma County Board of Supervisors meeting that starts at 9 a.m. Do we have any? Thank you. And I do have a couple of speaker forms. One of them is for agenda item number 2. So if you want to speak during call to the public or wait till that item is pulled or presented. The first one is Gail Castricone.
Good morning. My name is Gail Castricone, and I am the neighborhood advocate for the Avenue B and C Colonia Butterfly Project. Our Avenue B and C Colonia neighborhood involvement meeting met on March 5th. Our guest speaker was Maria de los Reyes from the Yuma County Housing Rehabilitation Program. Her presentation was very, very informative. It is our hope that we can find residents that would benefit from this program. 2 families on 5th Street have already had rehabilitations for their homes, and they are very, very grateful for the help. This program benefits the Avenue B and C by increasing the value of the properties in our area. On the other hand, the lack of code enforcement for the slum and blight properties decreases the value of our homes in the B and C Colonia. Bam Park is the best example of neglect and crime. On Friday, the Hope Center pastors and I went to Bam Park Trailer Park to pass out lunch bags. The manager of the park was there. She was raking leaves from an empty lot. She has hired 2 men to help her clean. There are only a handful of residents there now. Almost every trailer on each street had broken windows and trash. There were over 40 tires in the park. On Tuesday, March 5th, the Bam Trailer Park had yet another fire destroying 2 trailers. The park still has not cleaned up the debris from the other fires that they have had. If those tires go up in flames, the air will become toxic to the whole neighborhood. My granddaughter is having an outdoor wedding on April 5th at our family home on 5th Street. I wanted to cry when she asked me if I would contact the Sheriff's Department to patrol the area on the day of her wedding in hopes that there will not be any gunshots fired on the canal or from Bam Park. Hopefully the court hearing in May for Bam Park will go well, so we can end the nightmare of years of violence, of deaths, drugs, gangs, slum, and blight. This is a quote from Queen Elizabeth II. It is often the small steps, not the giant leaps, that bring the most lasting changes. Therefore, the residents of the B and C Colonia will continue to take one step at a time to restore our neighborhood and give them hope for a better future. God bless you, and God bless America.
Thank you, Gail. We are taking small steps, you know how it is, but we'll get there. Um, Said Shanna Johnson, you'll wait till item number 2? All right. And anybody else call to the public? Seeing none, I'll leave it open and move on with the agenda. Presentations, proclamations, and appointments. During this segment of the agenda, board members may discuss the presentations and proclamations and may announce appointments to the Yuma County Planning and Zoning Commission and the Yuma County Board of Adjustments. No legal action will be taken. Is there any appointments?
I'd like to reappoint Joe Harper to the Board of Adjustments. Retroactive to February. I forgot to do it. Sorry.
You're not alone. I want to reappoint Neil Tucker, retroactive to February 1st on the Board of Adjustments.
Anybody else? And I would like to.
Did anybody else has
Oh,
expired?
so I wasn't the only one. You're looking at me like you're the only one that forgot.
Nobody else expired.
I would like to appoint Ron Rice and Eric Seltzer to the Planning and Zoning Commission, retroactive to February 1st, 2024.
And I believe Eric Salzer is on the Board of Adjustment.
Oh, and also, yes, and appoint Eric Seltzer to the Board of Adjustments, retroactive February 1st. Moving on, or item number 1, presentation on Greater Yuma Economic Development Corporation activities. Mr. Levon.
Good morning, Chairman, Board. Good to see everybody today. Thank you for taking the time. I come bearing gifts. Before you, you will find our new strategic plan. Now, when I say new, I don't mean we made it last week. This has been our North Star for over a year now. And within there, you'll find 5 goals, but one singular focus: economic resiliency. Now, what does economic resiliency mean? It means having a diversified economy that can withstand pandemic, warfare, economic downturn, or any other calamity. And within it, you'll find 5 goals that we really focus on to help do that. First one would be creating high-wage jobs within a modern economy. All jobs are not created equal. So when we're focused on jobs, we're in the ag tech space, the aerospace and defense sector, advanced manufacturing, not just manufacturing, and food processing, because we know those align with our assets in our community. Secondarily, expanding our presence globally. I was actually last week in Mexico City, meeting with 15 companies from Mexico with the idea of spreading the greater Yuma and San Luis and Somerton proposition to companies. Let them know that our community can support them, whether it be with growth, supply chain, or maquiladora operations. On April 10th, we are actually going to have a delegation of 15 Israeli companies in the ag tech and water tech space coming to visit Yuma. We're working with YCETA and other partners to entertain and host them, and we'd love to have each and every one of you at the reception and even at the ongoing daily workshops. We want to expose them to the fact that, again, our community has commonalities that share with Israel, and those can be in the ag tech space, water tech, and so hopefully help farmers, help growers, and help companies that can find commonalities with them. The third one, supporting local industry. We spend 80% of our time helping local industry, but 80% of our money trying to attract new companies. And so there's always this fine balance between demonstrating that, yes, we are trying to bring new industry because that creates property taxes and creates new revenue for the county and other communities. But we have to make sure our companies here locally are taken care of every single day because they are creating the majority of our jobs, so they need to be tended to. And we do that through a number of different programs you can see right here on the board. The fourth one is ensuring that our investors and stakeholders are taken care of because those are the ones paying our bills like yourselves, and we need to ensure that they're getting value out of everything we do daily as well. So we have a number of different verticals and media channels that we want to focus on to do that. Don't need to get into those today, but just want you to understand the overall plan that we have in place. And then lastly, creating an economic resilient environment as we talked about. So how do we measure those? Our KPI, our key performance indicators. It's going to be investor creation, revenue generation, along with high-wage job growth and economic resilience. In the last year, we had 108 private investors in addition to our 5 public investors. As of the mid-year, we had 121. I actually just got another commitment about a week ago. And so within there, that is a focus for us to ensure that we stay as financially solvent as possible, so we never have to come before you again asking for another dollar. Hopefully you don't ever cut back on us as well, but at the end of the day, what we need to do is ensure that we continue to raise additional funds on our own so that we can adopt new plans, so that we can try to be more proactive and actually, expand our marketing budget and other budgets so that we can get out to more companies to let them know about our greater area value proposition. What I'm also very proud of is the fact that we have a very diversified new investor list. So we're focusing on industries across a number of different areas, and they're seeing the value in what we do. Second one would be revenue generation. In addition to new investors, we also have to find new revenue streams that can be within grants, that can be within new programs that we run. And as you can see here, at the mid-year point, we've really improved our overall numbers as well. The most impressive number right here would be our 54-46 split. Supervisor Lyons, you've been on the board for a number of years. We've always tried to get to that 50-50. We've never even been close, but I would say in the last 3 years, we've gotten as close as ever in the 17 years I've been with the organization. So very excited about that, because once again, that allows us to never have to go before any of our public partners asking for another dime, and allows us to be resilient within our own operation as well. And then focusing on the right industries that I believe this county wants to focus on, that we really excel in, and that along with that, we really make sense to promote. And so this number is a bit old now. Now we're up to about 33 target leads at the moment in time, and quickly approaching our stretch goal of 52. As we talked about earlier, ag tech, clean tech, A&D, food processing, distribution. Distribution makes a lot of sense at our port of entry. Food processing makes sense across our whole area. And then A&D, obviously within our county airport, has a lot of promise and a lot of assets. And lastly, looking at our ways of going out there promoting our community, along with also supporting our local industry. And so you see within the Manufacturers Association, we had a great child care task force luncheon a couple months ago. Thank you everyone for attending. And then our partnerships with the Center of Excellence, our healthcare providers, and also our entrepreneurial college, creating sustainable training programs, workforce development programs, corporate health, which is incredibly important as we try to help our companies grow. Healthcare continues to get more expensive, so anything we can do to help them reduce that by partnering with our healthcare providers is very important. And as I mentioned earlier as well, trying to attract more foreign direct investment from different countries around the world. I am on Zoom calls on a monthly basis with these different countries to promote our area to trade associations, economic development associations, and even government partners as well. So within there, that is a quick snapshot of what we're doing to the mid-year point. We have 3 exciting projects that have committed to our greater Yuma area. I am not at liberty yet to talk about them, but at our year end, I will look forward to unveiling a lot of great projects and activity we've had up to this point.
Comment? Go ahead, Mr. Chairman. Greg, I know I mentioned this, it may sound a little petty, but every time you mention Greater Yuma, everybody thinks of Yuma City.
Right.
We need to put county in there somewhere, because this is a countywide effort. It is not the Greater Yuma City residents, it's the
Agreed.
Greater Yuma County residents. So although it sounds a little petty for me to mention that every time, I do want to make sure that the identity of the county is, or that it is identified as a county. It's not just Greater Yuma.
As I mentioned, Supervisor Reyes, at the Port Authority retreat, I know that Chairman Porches and Chairman Lyons and other board members in the past have tried to find a way to balance that, right? We don't want anyone to mistake our community as just being Yuma. We have a number of different assets across our entire county area. So we'll have to continue to work on that from a semantic standpoint, how we do broaden that brand without, creating the misconception that we're also a public body since we're not for profit. But I am fully supportive of finding a way to doing that.
Thank you, Greg. I just wanted to make it a point because I make it a point every time we get a chance.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Any comments? Thank you, Greg.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Greg. We move on to item number 2, presentation of El Condado Informado by Yuma 77, Yuma County Government Channel.
Bienvenidos a otro episodio de Condado Informado. Hoy estamos en el departamento de mantenimiento que se le comúnmente conoce como
Facilities Management.
¿Qué vamos a hacer el día de hoy?
Pues hoy tengo una entrevista con Mario Rosas, que es uno de los supervisores de este departamento y nos va a contar de todas las cosas que hacen para ayudar al condado de Yuma.
Muy bien, entonces ahorita me cuentas de todo lo que hacen, Carla.
Voy para atrás. Bueno, pues ya estamos aquí adentro del departamento del mantenimiento y hoy conmigo tengo a Mario Rosas. Bienvenido, Mario.
Gracias.
Estamos aquí para aprender un poquito más de lo que hace este departamento. Cuéntanos de qué se encargan ustedes.
Nos encargamos del mantenimiento y de cerca de 40 facilities, edificios alrededor del condado, diferentes departamentos. También así como entre facilities tenemos más o menos más de un millón de pies cuadrados. En el área de los parques tenemos cerca de 30 acres que mantenemos dentro de nuestras instalaciones.
Wow, suena que aquí están muy ocupados. ¿Cuántos empleados tienen aquí?
Tenemos 42 empleados actualmente.
¿Y dividido en cuántas divisiones, dijo?
Tenemos 5 divisiones. Una es de mantenimiento, custodians, que es del área de limpieza. Tenemos también lo que comprende grounds, todo lo que son áreas verdes, mantenimiento de áreas verdes, fire and security, que son instalaciones de todo lo que refiere a fire, a sistemas de incendio y sistemas de seguridad electrónica. Tenemos aire acondicionado y básicamente es todo lo que nos encargamos.
Bueno, y nos enteramos que tienen algunos cuantos proyectos muy emocionantes. Cuénteme 2 de esos.
Básicamente la renovación y del access control del sistema de acceso para el alguacil del condado de Yuma, el Sheriff's Office de Yuma. También toda la renovación de los techos de algunos edificios importantes alrededor del condado. También alguna renovación de equipos de aire acondicionado por nueva tecnología, entre algunos.
Wow, muchísimas gracias, Mario, y de verdad les queremos dar muchas gracias a este departamento tan importante que todos nos beneficia mucho tenerlos y hace nuestro día súper mejor. Muchísimas gracias por todo lo que hacen.
¿Qué pasó, Carla? ¿Te pusieron a barrer?
Casi, no te creas. Me enseñaron mucho de lo que este departamento hace. Estoy muy agradecida por todo lo que hacen, por todo el condado, todas las oficinas. Es un departamento que de verdad se mantienen muy ocupados y ayudan a que todas las oficinas y departamentos sigan pudiendo hacer todo lo que hacen. Muchísimas gracias por todo.
Muchas gracias a todos los del departamento de mantenimiento que comúnmente se le conoce como Facilities Management, que se encargan de todo y que todos los días nos tienen bien limpiecitos y bien organizados. Así es que gracias.
Gracias.
¡Hasta la próxima!
All right, that was el condado informado. We move on to consent calendar. The following items listed on the consent agenda will be considered as a group and acted upon by one motion with no separate discussion unless board members so request. In that event, the item will be removed from the consent calendar for separate discussion and action. And we have under the consent calendar items 1 to 15. And I'd like to pull out number 13.
I'd like to pull out 7 and 8.
7, 8, 13. Anybody else? All right, is there a motion to approve item 1?
Motion to approve is presented.
Second.
There's a motion.
What is it, that's presented or what?
To pull 13, 7, and 8.
Right, so you gotta be, okay, what's motion?
There's a motion and a second to approve consent calendar with 1 to 15 with the exception of 7, 8, and 13. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 7.
Superintendent Hurt, would you come up and tell us what 7 is all about?
7 and 8?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, be glad.
I think it's wonderful. That's why I.
Okay, we have a grant writer that is, the state of Arizona has given us an employee to help us write grants and to service the county. So in order to be able to write those grants, we have to be able to get a 501(c)(3). And so the UMed Foundation has decided they can support that. So we run our grants through there. So we're able to write the grant. So we're in the process of writing a grant for $500,000 for a STEM library and other grants that we have that we are writing at the current time. So it really helps the Ed Foundation support us, and it also helps the county because we can write these grants. The county grant writers working in conjunction with the county grant writers, and so they're working some grants right now with the STEM library in conjunction with the county grant writers. So it's a cooperative between two county entities to write these grants to help the students and the teachers in the county.
Thank you. I just think it's wonderful.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any questions?
So I move that we approve number 7 and 8, please.
Second the motion.
There's a motion and a second to approve items consent calendar 7 and 8 as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And item number 13, the Employee Benefit Trust Medical Plan. And
Good morning.
good morning. So do you want us to select options or is it just as presented?
So, good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Carla Vasquez, Benefits Manager. We had a few options because our plan was doing very, very great this year. We took this to the YCBT. We took this to you guys at the retreat, and with all the guidance that we have received, we felt very comfortable that we were breaking it down from the employees, YCBT, and what you guys were asking for with the option that we have for you to present it. So it is one option with different things to the option, which is plan design changes. It is a 2% increase of Plan A, with the other plans staying the same cost. And then that dependent contribution to end, we have presented this contribution multiple years with it being paused. We went with YCBT and the retreat recommendation, and it looks like we're no longer interested in continuing to present that split between the employer and the employees. And if at a later time you guys are interested, we can definitely bring back different options for you guys on that.
So the question is, do you want us to approve it as listed, option D and B, and then?
Because it was confusion with A and then B and option D. So if option D meant all those.
Yes, it did. Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to go ahead and approve option D. And then we will maintain the current employee dependent. Yeah,
Number 13.
Number 13 as presented.
Okay. You're gonna confuse us more.
Yeah, that's right. That's the intention. Confuse you more.
Okay, there's a motion and a second to approve item 13 on the consent calendar as presented.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
members, I just want to remind you, there was an addendum to the handout that did a couple Scrivener's errors corrections. So the numbers you're looking at are going to be on the handout that was posted, I believe, Friday or Thursday.
Yes.
Just so the public's aware of that.
So the motion should be good, including the correction that's posted.
As amended?
As amended, of course.
As
As
amended.
amended. Pulled
And
off
I'll
consent.
second that as amended.
Okay,
It would be item number 13 as amended.
as amended. 10%. Okay, there's a motion and a second to approve item number 13 as presented and amended. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We'll move on to discussion and action items. The board will open each of the following items separately for discussion and action as appropriate. We move on to item number 1, and we want to,
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we table this.
okay,
I'll second the motion.
there's a motion and a second to table item number 1.
Let you off easy.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
That was quick.
Move on to item number 2. Hold a hearing and consider approval of Mohawk School District request to incur liabilities in excess of budget in accordance with ARS 15-907. And I do have a speaker, and I will. And who's presenting? Okay.
Teachers housing, yes.
We have plumbing problems.
Good morning, I'm Shanna Johnson for the superintendent at Mohawk Valley School. Just to let you know a little bit about what's going on with our project, we have 10 teacher houses, teacherage, and our plumbing has failed in one of the houses, completely failed. It's leaking in the walls. We have old galvanized and copper plumbing, and we predict the other 2 are right behind it. We see signs of that. We also remember that this is also a roofing project. We have roofs that are way, way, way beyond their lifespan. So the only way to fund this would be through a public tax levy. So we're asking that you will consider this $189,079 tax levy to help us pay for these.
Let me interject here that she's tried to go through the school facilities board, they're out of money.
Well,
So,
they don't fund
and
this.
they don't fund that.
Right.
Besides that, even in an emergency situation, they're not gonna fund it.
It's considered excluded space.
I had experiences with the.
We did this in 2018 also. It was for
Right.
plumbing then also.
So Richard, you okay with that? And you have the funds available? Or are you thinking of, you already have the funds available? You're not thinking?
I don't have the funds available, so I'm asking the taxpayers.
So you're asking taxpayers.
So if you approve this, then this will go to a tax levy.
So it's got to go to a taxpayer.
And the housing is very important to our district. It's recruitment and retention, and we have
So-
staff that live there, and we also have revenue that come from our houses.
Clear it for me. We're asking you, you're asking us to actually allow you to go in and ask the budget, ask
The voters.
to approve the budget to the fund. Right?
I believe once you approve it, then it's approved, and then I just have to do a public hearing saying that we're levying taxes.
Truth and taxation hearing.
Truth and taxation here.
This is in your district, because it'll only be in.
Yeah, it's in the district.
Just for my
Mohawk
school.
Valley.
your school.
Yeah, Mohawk School District.
How
It
much
would be
will
about
it,
$94.47 per $100,000 value for only 1 year.
okay.
Okay.
All right, well,
I know how important housing is out there for them. That's one of the draws to getting teachers out that far. So with that, I'll make a motion we approve as presented.
I'll second.
Mr. Chairman,
we have to read anything?
the statute does require that, since you have approved the item, you actually have to issue an order upon which the superintendent can then act and get the,
So the motion will be to issue an order or
Yes.
hold the hearing? It says hold the hearing.
held the
This is
hearing. You held the hearing,
You have to open
you've
it.
discussed it, you've considered it, you've approved it. Now there just has to, an order has to issue from the board in order to affect their
All right,
request.
so the motion will be to issue an order in order to affect it.
To incur the liabilities in
liability.
excess of budget.
Okay. That's the motion, right?
Yep.
Hold the hearing.
Second.
and
In
consider-
accordance with AR.
Okay.
Greg, gotta open it up to the public hearing? No? Okay. So there's a motion and a second to recommend or approve, hold a hearing and consider approval of Mohawk School District request to incur liabilities in excess of budget in accordance with ARS 15-907.
And issue the order. Yeah, and issue the order.
Yep.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Good luck.
1 year, it won't kill.
All right. Do we have another addendum or just that? That was it? Okay, moving on to discussion regarding legislative issues. Item number 1.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, good morning. Alejandro Figueroa, Economic Development and Intergovernmental Affairs Director. So after, 68 days in session, we have more than 1,600 bills being introduced, only 3 of them passed. So this Friday is the deadline for bills to be heard in the opposite chamber. We're going to start hearing, we're going to start seeing the real budget negotiations get going starting next week. Moving on with some bills of interest for Yuma County. I have a handful of them. SB 1441 by Senator Fernandez. It requires the Arizona Historical Society to transfer ownership and management of San Guinetti House Museum and Gardens, Jack Mellon House, and the Molina Block to the city of Yuma. Requires the president of the Arizona Historical Society to deliver a properly signed and recorded deed or patent to the city of Yuma within 15 days after the effective date. Requires that the transfer land and buildings may only be used for public purposes in perpetuity and may not be sold, exchanged, or bartered. The city of Yuma, is worth noting, the city of Yuma is in support of this bill. And the bill was passed the House on March the 14th.
Where is it now?
Senate.
It's still there.
Well, it's going to go back to the Senate because they made a couple of changes, so they have to agree. On HB 2037, it's extending the life of ADOT for 8 years to July 1st, 2032, and with a retroactive date of July 1, 2024. That's passed the House. It's been transmitted to the Senate, and it's waiting for action there.
How many years?
8.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
There was debate between 4 and 8, but now this bill is going to be
it was.
SB 1264, Colorado River pumping objection. It requires the person who files a notice of intention to drill a well that is located in prescribed areas within the county adjacent to the Colorado River and who holds an entitlement to Colorado River water to include in the notice of intent that the municipality, county, irrigation district, or county water authority governing the well does not object to the Arizona Department of Water Resources granting the person a drill limit permit. It passed the it passed the Senate last week, and it's worth noting that La Paz and Mojave County have signed in support of this bill. HB 2124, agricultural operations, water protection. It adds water use by an owner, lessee, agent, independent contractor, and supplier on any facility used for the production of crops, livestock, poultry, and poultry products for the purposes of agritourism to the definition of, quote, and I quote, agricultural operations, end quote, allows the court to award reasonable costs and legal fees in a lawsuit deemed to be a nuisance action if the action was filed to take or reduce the water used by the other party. It passed the House, and it made it through the Senate Minority Caucus, waiting for action to move into Cal. And the Arizona Farm Bureau is in support of this bill. HB 2318, state match rural transportation. It's a long summary, but I'll just summarize the summary a little bit more. It requires the applicants awarded from funding from the Rural Transportation Fund for design and other engineering services to apply for a federal grant within 2 years of the award. Or the award lapses and the applicant must repay any expended monies to the fund. It requires the applicant to submit repayment within 30 days after receiving the invoice from ADOT. It allows the Rural Transportation Board, Fund Board, to require additional documentation to ensure an applicant is eligible for a federal grant and to determine whether an applicant has the technical and financial capacity to complete the project. From what I heard, it is taught that many jurisdictions will have to send their money back, meaning the ADOT and the fund board will have more resources to share with the rest of the state if that were to be the case. This bill is being supported by City of Yuma, La Paz County, and City of Kingman. And right now it's awaiting for the Rules Committee at the Senate, if I'm not mistaken. On the federal side, President Biden released his budget. Budget includes, among many other provisions, an increase to the corporate income tax to 28% from 21% and a minimum 25% tax on families worth more than $100 million a year. It eliminates corporations' ability to deduct the cost of salaries over $1 million. The budget projects that the fiscal deficit will be 1.78 trillion with a T in the 2025 fiscal year, 6.1% of GDP, down from a projected 6.6 in 2024. The deficit then gradually falls as a share of the economy to 4.7 in 2027, 4.3 in 2029, and 3.9 in 2034. Those are the kind of deficit numbers that have usually only occurred in times of national crisis, such as a deep recession, major war, or pandemic. But the Biden budget is premised on steady non-recessionary GDP growth and a continued low unemployment rate at or just below 4%. For example, the 6.1% of GDP deficit projected for 2025 is wider than the U.S. ran in any year between 1962 and 2019, per Congressional Budget Office data. Lastly, on the federal side, Arizona Senators Kyrsten Sinema and Mark Kelly announced nearly $126 million in federal investments they help secure for Arizona priorities and projects that include supporting local law enforcement, flood control, western rural water, forever chemicals removal, military installations, and transportation. Just to mention what's coming to Yuma County, $1 million for the City of Somerton's Main Street redevelopment project, $8.9 million for the Marine Corps Air Station for the planning and design of the water treatment plant. The rest is spread throughout the state of Arizona. Lastly, on the International Border Affairs, Arizona Senator Mark Kelly helped pass bipartisan legislation, eradicating narcotic drugs and formulating effective new tools to address national yearly losses of life, also called the End Fentanyl Act, which passed the House of Representatives. The legislation had previously passed the Senate and now heads to the President's desk to be signed into law. The End Fentanyl Act requires U.S. Customs and Border Protection to review and update as necessary manuals and policies related to inspections at ports of entry to ensure the uniformity of inspection practices to effectively detect illegal activity along the border, such as the smuggling of drugs and humans. That would conclude my report to the board. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, if you have any questions, happy to answer.
A comment. You did send me an announcement. They picked a new port of entry director.
Chris Leon.
It's not official yet.
Unofficial yet? Oh, okay.
Yes, it is not official. It was shared on social media by the U.S. Consul General of Mexico in Phoenix.
Right, okay. Let's not just wait until it's official.
I have to tell you, he was one of my students.
So do you have to declare a conflict or what?
Yeah.
I have a question. Can you, for some people out there, spread a little light on that nuisance bill that was in the paper?
I'm sorry, Supervisor Pancras, can you repeat that?
The nuisance bill,
The nuisance bill,
the one that would allow people to, go ahead. Go ahead.
it alters their taxes if they
Yes.
feel like they've been harmed.
So if they don't like the F-35 flying over their house every day, they can get their taxes.
If they can prove that it's
Yes.
a danger. It was referred to the election. It referred to the ballot, sorry. Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I may or may not be right on this, but I believe that affects cities specifically. Is that your understanding? Yeah.
Well, they left counties out of it, I understand, but yeah. It's still going to impact you, and it's still going to impact taxes.
I think as I heard it, it's going to become like it's just for cities or also counties, because if my neighbor is just being too loud, and so I can have a complaint, and I think it's something like that. Not only planes or it's anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You live next to a farm field and they're crop dusting, and so
Yeah.
it's a nuisance, and you're gonna
Mr. Chairman,
Viola.
Supervisor Pancrasi, that's a bill that, as far as I'm concerned, it's not being taken by the CSA. It's being moved and pushed by or fought against by the league, not so much the CSA, which leads me to believe that the county would not be impacted. But I'll look into
The
it.
CSA did reach out to me
Yeah.
multiple times to
They
help
have.
with that.
Yes, they have.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
They are
Yes.
strongly opposed.
We are strongly opposed.
So
And it's supposed to go to the ballot.
And I appreciate Fernandez's work on that as well, being
Yeah.
opposed to it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that it will be on the ballot.
It was referred to the ballot,
It was
yes.
referred to the ballot. Mm-hmm.
Which is,
So, who knows?
any other questions for Alejandro? Thank you, Alejandro.
But people need to be aware that it will be on the ballot.
Legislative, moving on to calendar events, current events.
Oh, several, okay, there we go. Met with some solar plant folks and about Balanced Rock, and then had CSA, did workforce development with Arizona at Work, and that's about it right now.
Supervisor Lyons?
Had the same phone calls regarding the solar. This time it's being proposed on private property. I know that they'll be looking for approval in the future. Attended the air show, met with several constituents, talked to Craig at CSA multiple times regarding
Yes, thank you.
these bills and other bills.
I appreciate that,
And
yes.
visited with most of leadership and our representatives, and a few other things. I'll pass it on.
My turn, huh? Okay. Attended Walton Mohawk District Board meeting, got to speak at the Foothills Rotary. Held a meeting out in Tacna, reference to the water project, to update the local citizens. Got the chance to go to Foothills Head Start and read to some classes.
Oh, good.
Met with the people from Balanced Rock on the solar project. Talked to them for a while. Missed the air show, unfortunately, but I had the Mesa del Sol cleanup. We picked up 11 tons of just strictly yard trash.
Wow.
That has been dumped out along the power line out there and down along the Hanks Highway. And I want to thank everybody that came out and helped with that, and Public Works and facility or developmental services. They were a big hand in getting that cleaned up. Also attended the Antelope High School board meeting. Had a meeting in Citrus City, and I also read the proclamation for the Relay for Life.
Oh, very good.
And
then a bunch of other meetings.
We went to the administrator and myself, and I, it was grammatically correct. We went to the Greater Yuma Port Authority retreat, which again is the Greater Yuma Port Authority. It's another issue that came up during the retreat. It was a pretty extensive, I mean, I know that the recorder sort of was good, but she was too good. I mean, there was some stuff in there at the end of the report that I don't think we all agreed to, but we'll talk about it some other time. We did attend that, and that took a little over half a day. I also attended a WACOG executive board meeting where we, again, re-elected every position that we had. The vice mayor, I think she's the vice mayor of Welton, Cecilia McCullough, I think she got elected as the vice chair, I think. And I also went and read to a couple of classes in Ed Pastor Elementary in San Luis. I did have a class that was in the I think it was the 6th grade, and then another one in the kindergarten. I noticed a change in the difference in that.
Fit right in with the kindergarten, huh?
Kindergartens are like cats. I mean, you bring two under control and the other two lead. So it was a tough assignment. One of the toughest I've had in a long time. And I know the chairman was there, and so was the administrator, so I know how they feel. A little tiresome, but it was worth it. So I think that's it.
Thank you. And yeah, I also read on March 8th to some kinder third graders, and I believe it was for fifth graders. Yeah, we're pretty good. They behaved, they listened. When is the date for the ribbon cutting? I know for the park.
26th.
Oh, the 26th.
Not this week, next week.
Next week. All right.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a quick clarification on that item, HCR 2023, that does affect cities, towns, and counties in Arizona.
That's what I thought. Mhm.
The last couple of weeks have been chock full of budget review team meetings pretty much every day, so made a lot of progress on that toward the fiscal year 2024-25 budget. As Supervisor Reyes mentioned, the GYPA board retreat, I also attended with Supervisor Simmons, the Tech and the Property Owners Community Meeting. I was also, as Supervisor Porges, or Chairman Porges and Supervisor Reyes mentioned, the Read Across America event at Pastor Elementary School in San Luis. And I facilitated and presented part of a day of sessions for the new Arizona City County Management Academy, which is 12 up-and-coming city, town, county managers in Arizona, which was a lot of fun.
All right.
All right.
Meeting adjourned.